The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. For tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out. Bide within the law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron on the Para X Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Merry meet everybody and welcome. The channelers, Barry and Connie Strohm, are my guests tonight, and I came across something that caught my eye on Barry's Facebook page in regards to the weekly message from Jesus. The first thing I saw, it said, running out of time, and the other one said, so little time. Well, normally I'd track down Barry and ask that was what it was all about. But instead, I just asked him if they were available this week. And to be honest, I think I'm kind of enjoying the mystery. I'm sure that Barry will be channeling someone this evening, and he doesn't always know who might pop in. But whoever it is, chat room questions and comments are welcome. And if you're listening to the live show and not in the chat room, join us at paraxradionetwork.com. Barry, Connie, hello. And let's get going before we run out of time.
Nice to be back, Marla.
Yes,
been
time's
a
a
while.
premium. Yeah, well, thank you. Always enjoy coming back. It's like old home week.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's like, yeah, good pair of good shoes or something. I said, yeah. I don't
Well,
know.
you know, you're the one that got me into all this radio stuff, so.
Yeah, and you're still talking to me these days.
Well, we're running out of time, as you said.
Well, I asked you not to tell me who was coming through, and I don't think you did right off the bat. And
No, I still haven't.
okay, good. So we're going to find out who is coming, what's running out of time, and why. So let's see who wants to come out. And, it kind of reminds me like the old What's My Line show.
Mm-hmm.
So here I'm going to say, so mystery guest, come in, please, and sign in and let us know who you are.
I thought that since I was the one that spoke the words, that perhaps it would be best if I came because I want no misunderstandings. Time only exists on your planet. So I felt that since I'm the one that set the rules, that maybe I should be the one to answer your question.
Okay. I'm just going to see how the chat room is thinking about it real quick, because some of them might not. Some of them might know who this is. I have my idea. So, for 30 seconds, let's just say hello to you anyway, and let's see how smart the people are. I know there's a couple of people that listen to Barry's show all the time, so she might have a thought. And she might have even listened that those 2 times that was where you were giving the weekend thing. The week thing. And I'm getting closer, right? I'm just okay. So it is kind of scary, time's running out. Yeah, we know that. And earlier, before the show started, we were talking in the chat room, and Somebody said that doom is finally catching up with us. And I was making the joke, well, it's bad enough our age is catching up with us. We don't need enough doom. And somebody said the penguin tariffs did it. But it's just kind of interesting. And people are more coming into the chat room right now. So good. And Patty in the chat room says, hello, Jesus. So there.
Here's your answer.
Yeah, I knew she would get that.
Hello, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
I'm very happy that you are joining us tonight. I always appreciate to see you listening to my messages, and I appreciate more when you try to pass on my words. So thank you so much. You have guessed correctly. I felt that it was very important tonight that there be no misunderstandings, because I know that Marla is going to have some very interesting questions. And time is one of the most important things for humans. It's nothing when you're over here. But when you're on Earth, it seems as though time is one of the most important, shall we say, dimensions that you deal with.
To me, it's really interesting because you can take that in a good way, time's running out, meaning maybe things that are really not happening too well down here, maybe that's going to get cleared up a little bit, maybe it goes from the bad to the good, but it also says, well, maybe somebody's going to get punished or, so let's talk a little bit about both those things.
Marla, I want you to understand this. I was referring to the time of a human life in relation to the everlasting life of the soul in heaven. A human life is extremely short in comparison. When I created humans, I made a point that I would give them short lifetimes. On other planets that have learned the lessons of coexistence and love, and of all the things of which I speak, I've given them the gift of much longer lifetimes. For instance, when I provided an alien spirit to speak with Barry and Connie for the books, he had lived 950 of your years, because on his planet, everyone gets along, everyone coexists, and everyone shows love. So the true comparison is that there is very little time in a human life for you to make your decisions. Do you choose to follow the words that I speak and help others show love, coexist, or do you choose to succumb to evil energies? Many humans do not pay any attention to my teachings. So I do not want them to have an extended life where they can continue to follow evil and continue to do things against my teachings. So that is why all humans have a short life, so that they can return to heaven, can learn whether they did good or whether they did bad, and begin another life plan so that they can return and hopefully learn from the lessons of the previous life. But humans, while it may seem long while you're living that life, in comparison to the life of your soul, is a very blink of the eye.
So I think people might be thinking now, oh, good, because you're talking about just in general, not the whole world is going to collapse and we're all going to be going at the same time, right?
We can also talk about what is taking place on your planet. Humans have failed to change for thousands of years. They are essentially the same as they were thousands of years ago. When I walked the earth, people would not listen to me. They would spit upon me. They would throw rocks at me. But I would speak my simple messages, and certain people would listen. Today, people try to speak my words, and they are sworn at, they are ignored, they are chastised. They are many of the things that I went through. So in that respect, and during that time, nothing has changed. If humans continue the warlike path with the weapons that they have, and with the free will that I allocated to them, it is quite possible that humans will choose to destroy all life on my planet. And because of the free will, I would, in all probability, allow them to make that decision. There have been other civilizations on other planets that have made that decision and no longer exist. So time is what you make it. If you decide to live in peace, humans will have many, many years of peace to live. If you continue to wage wars of great destruction, if you continue to develop weapons that are capable of destroying the earth, then the decision is totally up to the humans. At this time, I do not foresee that life as I expect it to continue will end, but there is always a possibility. That is why I'm telling you that time can be very short, or it can be basically infinite, is what you make it when you are on your planet.
Mm-hmm. And the thing of it is, it's all these wars and stuff are just making it for about 10% of the people in the earth. We just have to sit back and take it. People get in power and they do stuff, and certain countries don't care much about living or dying. But 90% of the people that are on Earth don't want to have any of that. But the big ones take over and we get in trouble.
As I have said earlier, not much has changed for the thousands of years. In the Greek Empire, there were certain that had power. In the Romans, there were emperors. And after the fall of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church had the popes that were essentially the rulers of the world. The other leaders catered to what they wanted. So there's always been individuals in power, and those individuals have always wanted to wage war because they want more power. It is not until the majority of the people understand my teachings and understand the penalties involved that things will change. But that is why we keep speaking. That is why we keep sending messengers back. That is why we keep doing what we do. Because I know that I love humans. I know that I want them to succeed. And I will continue to do what I can. But they must make their own choices, because their own choices will determine what happens to them when they return and whether they are allowed to advance in the realms of my heaven. So free will is the most important thing, because that is what either allows them to increase their status in heaven or decrease. So it is all part of a very big picture.
Yeah, but the baddies, the guys, take the good ones with them. We don't want to go, but they make it, that way.
That will continue until good outnumbers bad.
Mm.
It is all a matter of them believing in my teachings and following them. When the vast majority does that, they will overcome the evil people in office or running the different governments. But it is not until the masses understand that God truly exists, that there are teachings that must be followed for humans to evolve. And once that takes place, then you will find out that things become much better and all can live in peace. It has happened on many, many other planets, and it can happen here as well.
I hope so. We've got a couple of one comment and one question. And the comment is she never realized that Jesus wrote his words. I thought it was the apostles who scribbled his words.
I would tell you that it is no to both of those questions. While the apostles took notes, it was not until generations after the life of the apostles that the scribes actually tried to write down from memory the words that I spoke. You are correct. I never wrote the words that I spoke because I counted on other people to carry forth my messages. That is why the Gospels have many inaccuracies in them, and that is why many of my words have been distorted through the years.
Okay. And then there was a question saying, well, what about those who do not follow evil ways? We get punished too, and that there probably more to it. She said, doesn't answer my question. I guess that's what it says.
Those that believe in me and follow my words should have no fear of death. You see, death is a misconception. Many who do not understand fear death. On your day of passing, it will be the most miraculous day of your life because you will be returning to heaven. Those that truly believe in me do not fear death. Only those who do not understand.
Okay, this is going to be confusing, I think, but we have been taught, a lot of us have been taught that before we come back down, we have a life plan. And, this is what we're going to do from A to Z. Now, if some baddies come along, they take away our free will and the life plan, don't they? And that's not kind of right. So why would we be doing a life plan if somebody else can take it out from under us?
Your life plan is always a guide of lessons that need to be learned. There are always circumstances that can change a life plan. Keep in mind that a human soul never knows definitively what that life plan holds for them. We will guide them. Their guides will try to guide them. The angels will come to them. There will be many that will try to keep them on their life plan. But if they do not have the faith, the foundation of faith that is required, they do not pray for guidance, then they will wander from that life plan. There will be circumstances that will alter life plans. For instance, evil is never a part of a person's life plan. If there is an individual that decides that they are going to use nuclear weapons and end the lives of millions of people, then that life plan simply comes to a premature ending. The people will not be penalized for that because they had no control over it. They will simply enter heaven, and then they will, when they are ready, prepare another life plan, and they will return. But they are never, life plans can be cut short. Things can happen. Everything is not set. A life plan is a guide. It is a guide that soul should follow. But there are many instances in which that individual may be taken away from the life plan, or it may be able to follow it perfectly.
Yeah, I guess I don't think it's fair. The bad guys always win, in many cases, and that just is annoying.
Marla, good people always win, because when they come to heaven, that is their true reward. What takes place as you have a human life are simply learning experiences and challenges. But the real return is when you return to heaven.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just impatient, I think. I want to know. Um, so, is there something that we can do to make, aside from praying and all that, to help us while we're here to get through all these bad things that are going on in our world?
A foundation of faith is the best way. You must not allow things upon which you have no control to control your lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you harbor hatred over what is taking place in your government, you can try to organize and change your representatives. But it does you no good to allow situations over which you have no control to lead you away from the foundation of teachings that you know will help you in your true test, which is when you return to heaven.
Okay. Anybody in the chat room have any questions or comments? Again, let me know and we'll get back to there. Is there something, I mean, everything is so bad. Is there something going to be kind of getting bigger and bigger, like, a pressure cooker, and then all of a sudden, kaboom, it's going to go out anytime soon?
You can rest assured that we have sent people back to try to bring good to everyone. There are people trying to speak my teachings. For instance, Barry has put into books my words, my true teachings of words. Many people have failed to read them, but then many people failed to listen to my words when I walked the earth. We are trying to lead individuals to follow my teachings and do what is right. Sadly, there have been, throughout the ages, very strong evil energies. Individuals have had greed for power, greed for money, all of the things that we do not teach them in their life plans. But because of the association with the evil energies, many of these things have taken control. And as I said, there have been terrible times before. Think of the Holocaust, when millions of members of the Jewish faith were killed by the Germans for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, it seems as though humans want to simply repeat the past. They often do not learn from the past. I know that I gave humans a good memory so that they could remember and learn from the past. But the urge of power and money overcomes many. That is the ultimate test for a human individual. If they succumb, then they will harm many others, and when they return, they will be judged for it. And it will determine what level of heaven they are allowed to return to.
Well, people pray to different gods. And some of those gods aren't very nice, and sometimes people will be bad because they're taught, their God says, if you lose your life to do something for me, which is a lot of people would think was terrible, they don't care about getting, they're getting that in their a headache, in their heaven, and they are a headache. That they're doing the same thing. They want to be really good when they get up there, but they're doing it in a really bad way. So, I think there's only everybody's, I think, praying to the same God, but they all have different names and they all have different agendas, kind of. It gets a little bit crazy.
Marla, do you remember me telling you that my words have been subverted? as have the words of my prophets that I sent back. I sent Muhammad back to formulate a religion in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
His words are misinterpreted.
Yeah.
The words that he spoke in the 7th century do not apply to modern times. And there are individuals that are seeking power that are not translating his teachings in the way that he anticipated they would be taught. Keep in mind that when these individuals, the Buddhas, the founders of the different great religions of the world, Muhammad, they all did not realize the future. They were living in the moment, and they were doing things that were required at that time. And they spoke words that applied in those days that are misinterpreted today. For instance, Muhammad believed that women should be equal. His daughter had a position of great power, and he believed in the equality of women. Now, certain things were different in those days, but today, the religion often translates that women should not be educated or used. So there are many, many translations. The whole concept that if an individual leaves the Islamic faith, that they should be killed.
Mm-hmm.
He was referring to individuals that had sworn allegiance to fight for him and were fighting against him.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the history, you can understand far better what was taking place. But I never sent anyone back that would advocate violence unless it was required to protect your people. Self-defense is very, very important for individuals.
Yeah.
I never spoke of the concept of turning the other cheek and allowing anyone to harm you. So many of my words are mistranslated. But keep in mind this: there is only one God.
Mm-hmm.
However you want to refer to me is fine. The source, Allah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a single energy, and that is the single God. Sadly, through the years, when I returned as Jesus, I spoke the words that needed to be spoken. They were incredibly simple words. Throughout time, those words were distorted. Muhammad spoke relatively simple words. Through time, his words have been distorted. All of the great leaders, the words were not written down for them as they were speaking. And throughout time, they have been changed and altered. People's memories changed, or the religious organizations felt that words needed to be changed for their own power. So there are many things to look at throughout history.
Well, good and bad have different meanings for different people, you know. Our good might be bad for somebody else, and vice versa. And I think on that, just thought, we're going to take a break. And we get back, there's a question in the chat room, and maybe there'll be some more when we get there. So everybody get up, stretch up, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Don't go away. There's more Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks right after these important messages. From Haunted Road Media comes an exciting new novel by author Marla Brooks, Soul Connection, a deadly obsession. Two lost souls ripped apart by murder in another century find each other again in the present, only to discover that the murderer has followed them through time. Can their love save them, or will history repeat itself? Find out in this captivating new novel by Marla Brooks, Soul Connection, a deadly obsession. Available now on Amazon.com and at BarnesandNoble.com.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to.
I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom.
It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
What if everything you thought you knew about time, free will, and reality was wrong? Unified reality theory dares to bridge science, philosophy, and religion to uncover the true nature of existence. Controversial? Yes. Mind-expanding? Absolutely. Find out what everyone will be talking about. Join the conversation now. Unified Reality Theory, now available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Get your copy today, because reality isn't as simple as it seems.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
And our guests tonight are Barry and Connie Strohm in the flesh, Jesus from the other side, and we're talking about running out of time and, a few other things as well. So let me get to the questions. Said some people think that the rapture is upon us. Will there is a rapture? Okay. Will there / is there an rapture that does soon mean in that context? I know
Marla,
I read.
Marla,
Yes.
there is no such thing as a rapture. That was designed by the church in order to force people to use the sacraments of the church in order to achieve heaven. I will never destroy humans. That I love humans. I want them to succeed. I have sent many, many souls back to try to teach them how to succeed. And I will never be the one who ends human life on earth. But there is no such thing as a rapture. When a human passes, the soul immediately leaves the body, and the soul does not ever go to the grave with the body. So the rapture is a concept that is false, and it will never happen.
Okay. Also, and the comment came back for that there's also different interpretations. The rapture, like pre-trib and mid-trib and post-trib. Now, I have no clue what that I'm talking about, so maybe if you do, you'll have to answer. I don't get it.
No matter how you define it, no matter how you complicate it, there will be no such thing as a rapture in any form. That is a concept made up by the church, and it is totally false.
Okay. My question popped in too. It's like, how do you deal with people doing bad things in your name? Most of the people have wear a crucifix, and they're doing all those bad things, and it's like you let them happen. I mean,
they have
whatever.
They have free will.
Mm-hmm.
We know all of these things that are taking place. We know of all the individuals that come to a religious institution and say how much they love me, and then go out and do not follow any of my words. their time of judgment will come when their soul passes. It will be determined whether they can stay in the realm that they were when they came to life, whether they can advance, or whether they will be placed in a lower realm. That is that their guides know everything that is taking place. There's no such thing as lying to the guides when your soul returns to my heaven. So it appears to individuals that they're getting away with something, but they will truly be judged for it. They're building karmas. Those karmas will become fact in their future lives. For instance, if an individual has great wealth and does not use it to help others, in their future lives, they will live lives of poverty so that they can understand what it was like to need help and no one will help them. There are all kinds of negative karmas that individuals create in their incarnate lives. But there is no hiding their actions from their guides in heaven.
Okay. Got another question. It's a long one. There's a prayer called the Apostles' Creed in the Catholic religion. Maybe you could help me understand what it means when they say Jesus will come to judge the living and the dead. Why are those who have died waiting to be judged? Does that mean that souls have to wait to get to heaven?
First of all, the Apostles' Creed was created over 300 years after my death, when the Catholic Church was attempting to define the path that the church would take. So there are words in that prayer that have no relationship to the words that I spoke. The words themselves are oriented towards reliance upon church sacrament. I had mentioned this earlier. So while there are parts of the creed that are very good, there are parts of it that are not accurate. They are conceptually what the church thought that I meant over 300 years after my passing.
Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's any more here right now. So you do. I think people should know that once a week you're doing not a sermon, but you're giving advice and stuff with Barry. And where can people find that? Because they can hear you every week. What's going on?
I come to Barry every week and I give a message of love and understanding and simplicity and common sense. These are the words that I spoke when I walked the earth. I spoke to the poor and the uneducated. I never spoke in parables or complicated words that they could not understand. And in my messages on Wednesday mornings, I try to bring the truth of my messages to everyone, and I try to speak them in a way that everyone can understand and utilize the information for the betterment of their own lives. He places them on his YouTube channel, and there are 3 years of these messages available at that place. On Sunday, I have my Holy Spirits come to him and speak. He will have spirits such as Peter, Paul, Mary Magdalene, and the intent is that you can hear the individuals that actually heard me speak my words, and they will have messages for you, and I think he calls that a Sunday sermon. So there are many, many ways that you can hear and understand my messages. He has printed books of my messages. He has told the story of my life from birth until my ministries, which is something that is not included in the Gospels.
Mm-hmm.
So he has done many things to bring my messages, and everything that he does is based on his channelings and my exact words or the words of the Holy Spirits that knew me in life or afterwards. So it's very easy for you if you would like to hear the true messages that I have.
And I think also you don't have to be Christian to go in and listen, right?
I love I love every human being. I even love those that speak against me. There is a spark of me in every human heart, and I love each and every individual. But there are those that have drawn away from me, and they are the ones that do not receive the guidance of the angels or the Holy Spirits. If you ask in prayer, we will try to guide you and help you. Every prayer is heard, but every prayer cannot be answered. For instance, if you pray for something that is contrary to your life plan, in most instances, we cannot answer that prayer. There are times that I will step in when an individual is doing great things for others, and I may extend his life. I may heal him. For instance, I healed Barry of a heart attack because I needed him to write more books, because he has this gift that he can speak to any of the Holy Spirits and myself. So prayers can, if they can be answered, they will be. You may not understand how they're being answered. And if they cannot, sadly, you will have to learn the lesson but that lesson was chosen by you in your life plan before you were born. Mm-hmm. So everything kind of comes together in a simple way. The religions, there are many great religions. They do much charity work. The Bible is the basic foundation of my teachings. But what you must understand is that they are the work of man. They are based on memory, and they are based on many things. So the modern words that are coming through today are very, very important, and that they should be listened to, and that they will be understood for ages.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got another question. How do you feel about people praying the rosary, given that there are discrepancies with the Apostle Creed? Even though I understand that, I do get great comfort from praying the rosary.
That is fine. The rosary is a guide for prayer. What I tell individuals is that a prayer should be a conversation with me. You do not need a definitive outline of words to be said. Speak to me with your heart, and I will listen. The rosary is a good prayer, and it helps many, many wonderful people. But it is not imperative that you memorize a given prayer. When you speak from your heart, then your words will be heard.
Okay. I tried somebody to teach me how to do the rosary, even though I didn't know, and it was quite difficult. I went to church with him, and it was not too easy because she genuflected and I wasn't looking, and I tripped over her, so I couldn't even get to sit down. And yeah, and then I didn't know that the priest is going to throw water on us, and I was, whoa, so it was kind of funny. It was interesting, but, I mean, everybody has their own religion. And I think even if somebody says you're a Christian, there's so many different types, you just, I guess it's what your upbringing is and stuff. But like you said, there's only one supreme being. And I just wish it could almost sometimes take away labels. This is a bad thing. because if somebody says, well, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a, whatever, somebody's going to not like you. And so you'll get a chance to meet somebody just because they're going to step away because they don't like that kind of person or something. I mean, it's crazy. Nobody's ever going to be happy and get together as long as we have labels. What do you think about that?
You are exactly correct. Keep in mind this. When I walked in the earth, there was no Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking words that were contrary to the belief of the Romans. I was very careful that I did not attack the Romans politically, but what I was speaking, the Romans disliked. The Jewish members were very powerful in Judea at the time. And they thought that I was a challenge to their power. Mm-hmm. So they never accepted who I was or what I was trying to say. But it was simply because there were several dozen powerful members of the church and they resented my words. But I spoke incredibly simple words. Through time, the churches have tried to complicate the sacraments. They would speak in Latin for their services, a language that no one that was listening could understand. The churches at times had individuals in leadership with very clay feet. They wanted power and they wanted strength like any other of the political leaders. My words are incredibly simple. If you listen to my messages, there will be times that you think it could not be possibly the words of God because they are so simple and common sense. Every week I say, do not do anything to anyone else you do not want done to yourself. That is one of the most basic rules of finding happiness, of finding love, of coexistence. But I can almost define my total teachings in 5 minutes. Yet the religious scribes worked days upon days to complicate the words that I actually spoke. Each individual has his own private path to heaven. Every soul goes to heaven. The most evil person in the world will go to heaven. There is no hell. That was defined by the church to create fear. Mm-hmm. When I walked the earth, I never spoke of fear. All I wanted was for people to love God. It is love and not fear that is the key. So there are many, many things that individuals must learn. But the most basic fact is that each individual soul will go to heaven. What happens in heaven will depend upon how they live their life. So everything is in an individual's free will. You decide how you want to live your life, and that will determine how things will go when you return to heaven, and you will return to heaven.
Mm-hmm. The chat room is saying most churches are still the same, power and money, and then somebody said, and fear.
And Marla, that is why people are drawing away from organized religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am very sad to see this, but in many instances, it is the best that an individual can do. Some people find true faith in organized religions, and some people will only find the true foundation of faith in their individual path and by listening to their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
All you must do is follow the simple rule. Do not do anything to anyone you don't want done to yourself. It can become put into every situation. If you show anger to another, that person will show anger to you. You show violence, they will show violence to you. It can be used in every level of human existence.
It's, it's so easy and it's hard at the same time. I mean, because again, free will. Sometimes I don't think that was such a good idea because people just do it their own way and it doesn't always happen to be the right way.
Marla, there are times that I think perhaps I did overdo the free will thing. But then a human life is not supposed to be simple. Souls return to Earth to learn lessons. It is one of the most difficult planets in my galaxy to return to live a life. I made it a most beautiful planet as a type of compensation for the difficult realities of a human life. But it is not easy. Souls on the other side understand that, but they are trying to advance in the realms. So they decide they want to live an incarnate life on Earth so that they can learn these difficult lessons.
Mm-hmm.
There have to be places that individual souls can learn difficult lessons or they can never advance in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Somebody else wrote in, said, but the church being what it is, I still have not lost my faith in God and Jesus. But they against the church. I mean, so at least
sadly there are people drawing away from religion, but more people are drawing to faith. And it is faith that is important because it is faith that will determine your path in life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have true faith, you will follow my words and you will have a wonderful reception when you return to heaven.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to start to wind down here. So anything that you want to say that we haven't covered?
I thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. I welcome questions such as your people asked. Many of the people in the chat room I recognize and I know are very, very good people. Many are very inquisitive, and I know that many people have problems understanding the truth, what in many instances through the thousands of years, organized religions have done to manipulate my words and to actually change many of the, I don't use the word commands, but I say suggestions that I said in life.
Mm-hmm.
My messages are very simple. When in doubt, just ask what would happen if you put that person in your shoes and you were in his shoes, and act accordingly. Life can be very simple or it can be incredibly complicated. I have given you the free will to make the decision and choice between the two.
Well, thank you for coming in and talking, and people hopefully will go on Wednesdays and Sundays and get some more good stuff from you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Barry.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
He speaks so simply. I mean, it's almost beyond comprehension just how simply he really does speak and what his messages are. But once you understand the true history, I mean, when I wrote the book about his life from birth
Mm-hmm.
to his ministries,
yeah,
we channeled 24 different spirits that lived with him, that walked the earth with him.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone said the same. Basically, the messages are the same. He was this incredible individual. they explained why there's no written record of that time in his life, and it's what happened to him, how he lived, where he traveled, the fact that he was married, had 5 children. I mean, he lives a normal life for 33 years, and it's a really interesting story. I thoroughly enjoyed writing it.
Mm-hmm. And you said you're writing another book, and what is it going to be about?
Book 12 is another book. We're going to do 30 of his Wednesday morning messages. We're going to try to select his best and put a synopsis of those in book form. It'll be about 90,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
And that won't be an easy job, picking out the best.
No. And then
well, maybe have a sequel. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then the next one is he wants me to write a book based on channelings about his ministries, the 3 years of his ministry. So that book will tie into the one I just did on the missing years, and it will cover his entire life through the crucifixion and the resurrection.
I didn't know you had that other one that you just mentioned.
Well, I didn't either, but he just hit me with how he went,
Yeah, well, I can't keep up with you, actually. That's the way it kind of goes. I try, but I don't always.
Yeah. Well, I can't keep up with myself, so we're even.
All right. So where can people find you and your shows and your books and all that good stuff?
Well, it's on my YouTube channel, is simply in my name, Barry Strohm. I have a website, barrystrohm.com. And we're on Spotify and all the other platforms. And just the best way is simply to search my name, Connie's name. It'll pop up somewhere.
Yeah, you're not hard to find.
No. But it's hard to keep up.
Yeah. Well, you're there for a reason, and so there. All right. We are going. And I want to thank everybody, you guys, for popping in. And, of course, the people that listen in on the podcasts. And if anybody wants to suggest a guest or a topic, go to my contact page on my website at marlabrooks.com and let me know. And so we're out of here. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Please join us again next week at the same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2024. The Mysterioso March by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.com.